Captain Elena Vasquez stared at the massive alien ships floating in space around Earth. They were nothing like the human vessels she knew. These ships looked like giant crystals mixed with metal, glowing with strange blue light. Some looked like floating jellyfish made of gas and electricity. The sight made her stomach turn with fear and anger. "Captain, we're getting another message from the lead ship," said Lieutenant Jake Morrison from his station on the bridge of the exploration vessel Defiant Dawn. His voice shook slightly as he spoke. Elena nodded grimly. "Put it through." The main screen flickered and showed a being that hurt to look at directly. It seemed to be made of living crystal, with lights pulsing inside its body. When it spoke, the voice sounded like breaking glass mixed with wind chimes. "I am High Arbiter Zeth9 of the Galactic Council. Your species has been evaluated. You are too dangerous to be allowed freedom among the stars. You will surrender all faster-than-light technology immediately. Your colonies beyond this solar system will be destroyed. Any resistance will result in the complete elimination of your species." Elena felt her hands clench into fists. 3 years ago, humanity had finally achieved faster-than-light travel. It had been the proudest moment in human history. They had built colonies on Kepler 442b and Proxima Centauri b. Families had moved there to start new lives among the stars. Now this alien was telling them it was all over. "We have families on those worlds," Elena said, stepping forward. "Innocent people who have done nothing wrong. You cannot just murder them." The crystal being's lights pulsed faster. "Your emotional response proves our point. You are unstable, violent. Your colonies will be sterilized in 6 hours. Your government has already agreed to our terms." Elena felt like someone had punched her in the chest. "What do you mean they agreed?" "Earth's leaders are wise. They understand that resistance means extinction. You will return to Earth immediately and surrender your vessel." The screen went black. Elena stood there for a moment, trying to process what had just happened. Around her, the bridge crew looked stunned and afraid. "Captain, I'm getting reports from our colonies," said Communications Officer Lisa Park. Her face was pale as she read the incoming messages. "The Kepler colony is reporting massive alien ships in orbit. They're demanding evacuation immediately. Same with Proxima." Elena's mind raced. 20,000 people lived on those 2 worlds. Families, children, scientists, farmers, all living their dreams among the stars. And now these aliens wanted to kill them all just for existing. "Sir, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command," Morrison said. On screen, Admiral Sarah Chen appeared on the screen. She looked exhausted and defeated. Behind her, Elena could see other military officials, and they all had the same broken expression. "Elena, I'm ordering you to return to Earth immediately. We've signed the Edict of Containment with the Galactic Council. All human vessels beyond Earth orbit must surrender. All FTL drives will be handed over to Council forces." Elena could not believe what she was hearing. "Admiral, what about our colonies? What about our people out there?" Chen's eyes filled with tears she was trying to hide. "The colonies are being evacuated. The Council has given us 6 hours to get everyone off those worlds before they sterilize them. And if we refuse, then they destroy Earth too. Elena, they have weapons we cannot even imagine, ships that can destroy entire planets. We have no choice." Elena looked around at her crew. She saw Jake Morrison, who had a wife and 2 kids on Proxima. She saw Lisa Park, whose brother was a teacher on Kepler. These aliens were not just destroying human dreams, they were destroying human lives. "I understand, Admiral," Elena said quietly. "Vasquez out." The screen went dark. Elena stood in the silence for a long moment. Then she turned to her crew. "Anyone who wants to go back to Earth can take a shuttle. I will not think less of you. You have families there, and this is not your fight if you do not want it to be." "What are you planning, Captain?" asked Morrison. Elena looked out at the alien fleet surrounding Earth. "I am planning to save our people. All of them. The Council thinks we will just roll over and accept this because they have bigger guns. They are about to learn something about humanity." Dr. James Chen, the ship's science officer and the Admiral's nephew, spoke up from his station. "Captain, I have been studying their ship designs. Their technology is advanced, but it follows patterns we can understand. If we could get close enough to study one of their ships—" "You want to steal alien technology?" asked Lisa. "I want to level the playing field," Chen replied. "Humanity did not survive ice ages and wars and plagues by giving up when things looked impossible. We survived by adapting." Elena smiled for the first time since the aliens had arrived. "Anyone else have thoughts?" One by one, her crew members spoke up. Nobody wanted to abandon the colonies. Nobody wanted to surrender to bullies just because those bullies had bigger weapons. "Captain, I have an idea," said Morrison. "The Defiant Dawn is an exploration vessel. We have long-range sensors and stealth capabilities they might not know about. We could monitor their attack on the colonies and maybe learn something useful." Elena nodded. "And maybe we could rescue some people along the way." Over the next 5 hours, they watched in horror as the Council fleet moved to the human colonies. The evacuation ships were too slow and too few. Thousands of people were still on the surface when the alien weapons fired. Elena watched through the ship's sensors as bright beams of energy struck the colony worlds. The beams did not just destroy buildings, they seemed to erase everything they touched. Plants, animals, even the soil itself simply vanished. "My God," whispered Lisa Park. "They are not just killing people, they are erasing all traces that humans were ever there." Elena watched Jake Morrison's face as Proxima Centauri b was sterilized. His wife had been a botanist there. His children had been born there. Now it was all gone, as if it had never existed. But Chen was busy at his science station recording everything. "Captain, I'm getting readings on their weapon systems. This energy signature, it is similar to some theoretical physics we have been working on. I think I might be able to understand how it works." "Good," Elena said grimly, "because we're going to need every advantage we can get." As the last of the evacuation ships limped back toward Earth, Elena made her decision. "Morrison, set course for the outer system. We are not going back to Earth." "Captain, that makes us criminals according to the treaty," Lisa pointed out. Elena looked at the dead worlds where human children had played just hours before. "Then we are criminals. But we are alive criminals and we are free criminals, and someday, we are going to make sure this never happens to anyone else ever again." The Defiant Dawn turned away from Earth and headed into the darkness between the stars. Behind them, the Council fleet began setting up monitoring stations around Earth. The crystal beings and gas creatures thought they had won easily. They were about to discover they had made a very big mistake. 5 years had passed since the Galactic Council destroyed the human colonies. Earth looked very different now. Giant alien structures floated above every major city like metal clouds. Council monitors walked the streets. Tall, thin beings with 4 arms and silver skin that reflected light like mirrors. They watched everything humans did. Elena Vasquez stood in the hidden command center built inside an asteroid in the belt. Around her, dozens of people worked at computers and communication systems. The Terran Liberation Front had grown from one stolen ship to a network of rebels operating throughout the solar system. "Captain, we have a new refugee group coming in," said Morrison, who now served as her second in command. 50 people from the Luna mining station." The Council decided the miners were working too slowly. Elena frowned. "What happened to them?" "The usual. The Council declared them inefficient and sent them to the work camps on Titan. These 50 managed to escape before the transport left." Elena nodded grimly. This was how the Council operated. They did not need to kill every human directly. They just made life so hard that people died from exhaustion, despair, or accidents in the work camps. "Any word from our contacts on Earth?" Elena asked. Lisa Park looked up from her communication station. "Dr. Martinez says the situation in Neo Singapore is getting worse. The Council announced they are relocating another 100,000 people to productivity centers next month." Elena knew what productivity centers really were. The Council called them work camps, but they were designed to slowly kill the people sent there. The aliens gave humans just enough food to work, but not enough to stay healthy. Most people died within 2 years. "Captain, we have an incoming message," said Park. "Unknown signal, not from any of our cells." Elena was immediately alert. "Put it through, but keep weapons ready." The main screen flickered to life, showing a creature Elena had never seen before. It looked almost human, but its skin had a green tint and its eyes were larger than human eyes. When it spoke, its voice sounded sad and tired. "Human rebels, I am Keth Mori, leader Iontel. We know of your fight against the Council. We wish to speak." Elena studied the alien carefully. "How do we know this is not a Council trap?" The creature's large eyes filled with something that looked like tears. "Because my people suffer as yours do. The Council conquered us 40 years ago. We were told we were too emotional and unstable to govern ourselves. Now my children work in their factories until they die." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "You mean humans are not the first species they have done this to?" No. The Council has destroyed hundreds of worlds. They take the young species and either enslave them or kill them all. They say it is for the good of the galaxy, but really it is because they fear anyone who might challenge them. Morrison leaned forward. How many species are fighting them? None successfully, Iontel replied. Until now. You humans are the first to organize real resistance. Most species give up after their worlds are destroyed, but you keep fighting. Elena thought about this. If the Council had been doing this for decades, then they were not just bullies. They were systematic exterminators of younger civilizations. What can your people offer us? Elena asked. We have biotechnology the Council has not seen before, living ships that can heal themselves, organic computers that cannot be detected by their sensors. In return, we hope you can teach us your fighting methods. Over the next several hours, Elena learned the full scope of the Council's crimes. The Kethmori were one of 12 species currently enslaved by the Council. Another race called the Arcarians had been completely wiped out, except for a few thousand refugees living in hidden bases. Dr. Chen was fascinated by the alien biotechnology. Captain, if we could combine their living systems with our mechanical technology, we could create something completely new. Ships that the Council cannot track or understand. Elena made her decision. Iontel, we accept your offer. But we need to know everything about the Council. Their weaknesses, their technology, their methods. I will share our data archives with you. But I warn you, what you learn may make you very angry. Elena almost laughed. We are already angry. Our people are dying in their work camps. Show us what they have hidden. The data transfer took hours. As Elena and her team studied the information, they learned the horrible truth about the Galactic Council. It was not a government of equal species working together. It was a protection racket run by the oldest and most powerful alien civilizations. The Council would identify young species as they developed space travel. They would study them for years, then decide if the species was useful or dangerous. Useful species became slaves. Dangerous species were completely destroyed. Look at this, Chen said, pointing to a display showing dozens of star systems. These are all worlds where the Council found dangerous species. They used planet-killer weapons to destroy everything. Not just the people, every living thing on those worlds. Elena stared at the data. Billions of beings had died just because they might someday challenge the Council's power. But here's the interesting part, Chen continued. The Council species are not actually superior to the younger races. They just had a head start. Their technology is thousands of years old, but it has not improved much in centuries. They have become lazy and predictable. Morrison studied tactical data from past Council conflicts. Captain, look at this. Every time they fight resistance groups, they use the same strategies. Same formations, same weapons, same approaches. They never adapt. Elena began to smile. Because they never have to. Most species give up quickly, so the Council never learns how to fight a real war. Exactly. But we humans learn from every battle. We adapt, we improvise, we try new things. That might be our advantage. Over the following months, the Terran Liberation Front grew rapidly. The Kethmori provided biotechnology and intelligence. The Arcarian refugees contributed their knowledge of Council weak points. Human engineering began creating hybrid technologies that combined the best of all three species. Elena established hidden bases throughout the solar system. Some were built inside asteroids, others on the dark sides of moons, and a few on rogue planets drifting between stars. Each base was connected by quantum communication networks that the Council could not intercept. The Resistance began small operations. They would rescue people being sent to work camps. They would steal Council supply shipments. They would hack Council communication networks and broadcast the truth about what was happening to humanity. But Elena knew these small victories were not enough. The Council was slowly killing the human species through starvation and overwork. Within a generation, there might not be enough humans left to mount any real resistance. We need something bigger, Elena told her staff during a planning meeting. Something that will wake up every human in the solar system and show them that the Council can be beaten. Chen had been working on reverse engineering Council technology. Captain, I think I know how to do it. The Council keeps detailed records of everything they steal from conquered species. All of that data is stored in massive facilities they call repository worlds. Elena raised an eyebrow. And, if we could raid one of these facilities, we could recover not just our technology, but the technology of every species the Council has ever conquered. We could learn about weapons and defenses and techniques that the Council has forgotten about. Morrison looked concerned. That sounds like a suicide mission. Those facilities must be heavily defended. Actually, they are not, said Iantel, who had become their main Kethmori liaison. The Council believes no one would dare attack them directly. Most of their security is automated. Elena felt excitement building in her chest. Where is the nearest repository world? A place called Nexus Prime. It is 3 jumps from here in the Ross 128 system. Elena looked around at her team. She saw determination in their faces mixed with fear but not hesitation. These people had watched their friends and family die in Council work camps. They were ready for anything. Then we are going to rob the biggest library in the galaxy, Elena said with a grin, and we are going to use their own stolen knowledge to destroy them. The morning sun cast long shadows across Neo-Singapore as 50,000 humans gathered in Victory Square. Elena watched the crowd through her binoculars from a rooftop 6 blocks away. Most of the people below were families, parents holding children, elderly couples supporting each other, teenagers trying to look brave. Captain, the Council transports are moving into position, Morrison reported through her earpiece. 12 ships, just like the intelligence report said. Elena felt sick to her stomach. These people were being relocated to productivity centers on Kepler 1649c, a cold world where most workers died within 18 months. The families below had no idea they were walking to their deaths. The Council told them it was a better life, more opportunities for their children. Are our people in position? Elena asked. Yes, Captain. We have cameras hidden throughout the square. Whatever happens here will be broadcast across the entire solar system. Elena hoped nothing bad would happen. The plan was simple. Document the relocation, then use the footage to show other humans what the Council really intended. But she had a bad feeling about today. The Council peacekeepers arrived precisely at noon. These were not the thin silver beings that monitored daily life. These were soldiers, massive creatures that looked like walking tanks made of black metal and red crystal. Each one stood 3 meters tall and carried weapons that hummed with deadly energy. High Commander Vorthak floated above the crowd in his personal transport. He was a gas being from the Vorthak Collective, looking like a storm cloud filled with lightning. When he spoke, his voice boomed across the square from hidden speakers. Citizens of Sector 7, you have been selected for relocation to serve the greater good of the galaxy. Report to your assigned transport vessels in an orderly manner. Resistance will not be tolerated. Elena watched as families began moving toward the transports. Many people were crying, but they were walking. They believed the Council's lies about better lives on other worlds. Then something went wrong. A young girl, maybe 7 years old, broke away from her mother and ran back toward their apartment building. Elena could see her through the binoculars. She was clutching a stuffed animal and crying. One of the Council peacekeepers moved to block her path. The massive soldier raised his weapon, pointing it at a terrified child. No, the girl's mother screamed, running after her daughter. Elena watched in horror as the peacekeeper fired. The energy beam hit the mother in the chest and she simply disappeared. Not killed, erased as if she had never existed at all. The crowd went silent for a moment. Then the screaming started. They killed her, someone shouted. They murdered her for trying to save her child. The crowd began to push backward away from the transports. Parents grabbed their children and tried to run. The square filled with panic and terror. High Commander Vorthak's voice boomed again. Return to your positions immediately. Anyone who resists relocation will be terminated. But it was too late. The crowd had seen the truth. These were not relocations, they were death marches. The Council was not trying to help humans. They were slowly murdering them. A man near the front of the crowd picked up a piece of broken concrete and threw it at one of the peacekeepers. The rock bounced off the alien's armor harmlessly, but it was an act of defiance that changed everything. We will not go quietly, the man shouted. They want to kill us anyway. At least we can die fighting. More rocks started flying. The crowd pressed forward instead of backward. Elena watched as 50,000 terrified humans became 50,000 angry humans. The peacekeepers opened fire. Elena had seen Council weapons before, but never used against a crowd of civilians. The energy beams cut through human bodies like they were made of paper. People did not just die. They were vaporized, leaving nothing behind but screams and empty clothes. But the crowd did not break. Instead of running away, they ran toward the peacekeepers. They had no weapons, no armor, nothing but their bare hands and their rage. Elena watched as ordinary people, teachers, shopkeepers, office workers, threw themselves at 3-meter-tall alien soldiers. Most of them died instantly. But there were 50,000 of them and only 40 peacekeepers. For every human who fell, 10 more took their place. Elena saw an elderly man leap onto a peacekeeper's back, trying to damage its weapon systems. The alien grabbed him and crushed him like an insect, but not before the old man had torn some wires loose. She saw a teenage girl use her school bag to smash the sensors on another peacekeeper's helmet. The alien killed her with its bare hands, but its targeting systems were damaged. She saw a mother carrying her baby run straight at High Commander Vorthex's transport, throwing herself against the energy shield protecting it. The shield vaporized her instantly, but it flickered for just a moment. The massacre lasted 20 minutes. When it was over, the square was empty except for the peacekeepers and piles of empty clothing. 50,000 humans had died in those 20 minutes, but Elena's cameras had recorded everything. Did we get it all? She asked Morrison, her voice shaking with rage and grief. Every second, Captain. The feeds are already uploading to our broadcast network. Within hours, the footage was playing on every hidden screen in the solar system. Humans on Earth, Mars, the belt stations, and the outer colonies watched as their people were slaughtered for the crime of trying to protect their children. Elena stood in the command center as reports flooded in from across human space. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Captain, we have riots starting in New Tokyo, Park reported. The crowd stormed a council monitoring station. They are tearing it apart with their bare hands. Mars Colony has declared independence, Morrison added. Governor Santos announced they will no longer follow council orders. The belt miners have gone on strike. Every asteroid station, every mining platform. They are demanding the council leave human space immediately. Elena felt something she had not felt in 5 years. Hope. The spark of revolution was spreading faster than the council could contain it. Then Dr. Chen burst into the command center, his face glowing with excitement. Captain, we just received a priority message from Earth Defense Force. Admiral Marcus Torres wants to meet. Elena frowned. Torres had been one of the commanders who agreed to surrender to the council 5 years ago. It could be a trap. I do not think so, Chen replied, showing her the message. He is using resistance code phrases. I think he wants to defect. The meeting took place on Ceres in a mining tunnel deep enough to avoid council sensors. Admiral Torres arrived with only 2 aides, and Elena immediately saw that he was not the same man who had surrendered 5 years ago. His face was lined with stress and his eyes burned with barely controlled anger. Captain Vasquez, he said, extending his hand. I owe you an apology. We thought we were saving humanity by surrendering. Instead, we handed our people over to be murdered slowly. Elena shook his hand cautiously. What changed your mind, Admiral? Torres looked tired. My granddaughter lived in Neo Singapore. She was 8 years old. He paused, struggling with his emotions. I watched the footage of the massacre. I saw her in the crowd trying to help other children. Then I saw a council peacekeeper vaporize her because she would not walk fast enough. Elena felt her anger burning hotter. I am sorry for your loss. Do not be sorry, Captain. Help me get revenge. Torres straightened up, and Elena saw the military commander he used to be. Half the Earth Defense Force is ready to mutiny. We have been pretending to follow council orders while secretly building new ships and weapons. We have been waiting for the right moment to act. And you think this is that moment? I think this is the only moment we will ever have. The footage from Neo Singapore has shown every human in the system what the council really intends. If we do not act now, there might not be enough of us left to matter. Elena studied the Admiral's face and saw genuine determination there. What can you offer? 200 warships, trained crews, and weapons manufacturing facilities hidden throughout the Earth-Luna system. Plus intelligence on council fleet positions and weaknesses. Elena made her decision. Admiral, welcome to the Terran Liberation Front. Let us go steal some alien technology. Torres smiled grimly. Actually, Captain, I was hoping you would lead a raid on Nexus Prime. My intelligence suggests it holds the keys to technologies that could level the playing field. Elena grinned back. Funny you should mention that. We were just planning a library visit. Elena stood in the cargo hold of the Terra's Wrath, watching as technicians installed the last of the stolen Kethmori biotechnology into the ship's hull. The living metal seemed to breathe as it bonded with the human steel, creating something that was neither fully organic nor fully mechanical. The raid on Nexus Prime had been more successful than Elena had dared to hope. Her team had not only stolen the Council's archives, they had discovered the research data of hundreds of conquered civilizations. Technologies that the Council had suppressed for centuries were now in human hands. "Captain, the new stealth system is online," reported Chief Engineer Sarah Kim, wiping biofluid from her hands. "The living metal will adapt to any scanning frequency the Council uses. As far as their sensors are concerned, we will be invisible." Elena nodded approvingly. 6 months had passed since the massacre at Neo Singapore, and humanity had transformed from scattered rebels into a real military force. The hidden shipyards in the Oort cloud were working around the clock, producing vessels that combined the best technologies of multiple species. "How many Vengeance-class destroyers are ready for deployment?" Elena asked. 47, with 12 more coming online each week," Kim replied. "Admiral Torres says the Earth Defense Force defectors are training crews as fast as they can." Elena walked to the observation deck, where she could see the growing fleet assembled around their hidden base. The new ships looked like nothing the galaxy had ever seen before. They combined human engineering with Kethmori biotechnology and Arcarian energy systems. Most importantly, they incorporated technologies from dozens of species the Council had destroyed. Dr. Chen joined her at the observation window, carrying a datapad filled with tactical reports. "Captain, we have received word from the other resistance cells. The Vegan colonies have declared independence. The Centauri system has expelled all Council monitors. Even some of the Outer Rim settlements are joining the rebellion." Elena smiled. "How are the Council forces responding?" "That is the interesting part," Chen said, showing her the latest intelligence reports. "They seem confused. They keep using the same tactics that worked against other species, but those tactics do not work against us." Elena studied the reports. In battle after battle, Council fleets were being outmaneuvered by human commanders who refused to fight according to established patterns. Captain Morrison had destroyed an entire Council patrol fleet at Wolf 359 by pretending to retreat, then attacking from an unexpected angle using new stealth technology. "The Council species have been dominant for so long that they have forgotten how to adapt," Chen continued. "They expect every battle to follow the same script. They show up with superior numbers and firepower. The enemy surrenders or dies quickly, and they move on to the next target." "But we do not follow their script," Elena said. "Exactly. We use guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run attacks, technological surprises they have never seen before. Every time they think they understand our strategy, we change it." Elena turned away from the window as Admiral Torres entered the observation deck. The older man looked more energetic than he had in years, despite the stress of commanding a growing interstellar war. "Captain, I have news from Earth," Torres said. "The Council has demanded that we surrender all rebel forces within 30 days, or they will begin orbital bombardment of major cities." Elena felt her jaw clench. "They are threatening to murder civilians if we do not give up." "Yes, but there is more. Intelligence suggests they are having problems with other species as well. The Kethmori have started open revolts on 12 worlds. The Arcarian refugees have been conducting sabotage operations throughout Council space. Even some of the older Council member species are starting to question the leadership." Elena felt a surge of hope. "The rebellion is spreading beyond humanity." "It appears so. Your raid on Nexus Prime did more than just steal technology. It proved that the Council could be beaten. Species that had given up hope are starting to fight back." Dr. Chen looked up from his datapad. "Captain, we have another problem. The Council is massing their main fleet at Galactic Central. Intelligence suggests they are planning a final assault to crush the rebellion completely." Elena studied the tactical display Chen showed her. The Council was gathering over 1,000 ships at their central command facility. It was more firepower than had been assembled in one place for centuries. "They intend to destroy Earth," Torres said quietly. "Not just conquer it, completely sterilize it. They want to make an example that will terrify every other rebellious species back into submission." Elena felt cold anger settling in her stomach. The Council had already murdered billions of humans through their work camps and massacres. Now they wanted to finish the job by destroying humanity's homeworld. "How long do we have?" she asked. 6 weeks, maybe 8, Torres replied. "They are being careful to build overwhelming force. They do not want to risk another defeat." Elena turned back to the observation window, studying the human fleet. Hundreds of ships now, with more being built every day. But would it be enough against 1,000 council vessels? Captain, Chief Kim said, approaching with another report. I have been analyzing the technologies we captured from Nexus Prime. Some of these weapons systems are incredibly powerful. The Council has been suppressing them because they are afraid of what might happen if younger species got hold of them. What kind of weapons? Elena asked. Reality manipulation devices, quantum disruptors that can tear holes in space-time, even something called a stellar ignition system that can turn gas giants into temporary stars. Elena raised an eyebrow. The Council has weapons that can destroy entire solar systems. They have weapons that can destroy entire sectors of space, Kim corrected. But they never use them because they are afraid of the consequences. These weapons are so powerful that using them might damage the fabric of reality itself. Torres looked thoughtful. That gives us an opportunity. If the Council is too afraid to use their most powerful weapons, then we might be able to level the playing field with superior tactics and surprise. Elena made her decision.
Sarah, I want you to start production on a new class of ship.
Something bigger than anything we have built before. If the Council wants to bring their entire fleet to destroy Earth, then we need to be ready to fight the largest space battle in galactic history. What should I call this new class? Kim asked. Elena looked out at the growing human fleet, thinking about all the people who had died in Council work camps and all the species the Council had exterminated over the centuries. She thought about the little girl in Neo-Singapore who had been murdered for trying to save her stuffed animal. Call them the Liberation class, Elena said, because we are not just fighting for human survival anymore. We are fighting to free the entire galaxy from tyranny. Over the following weeks, the hidden shipyards worked faster than ever before. The Liberation-class vessels were massive. Each one was 1 kilometer long and carried enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. But more importantly, they carried something the Council had never seen before. Weapon systems designed by dozens of different species working together. Elena watched as the first Liberation ship, the Terra's Hope, completed its trials. The vessel moved through space like a living thing, its biomechanical hull shifting and adapting in real time. Its weapons were a combination of human missiles, Keth Mori energy manipulation systems, and Arcarian reality distortion fields. Captain, we are receiving reports from across the galaxy, Morrison announced. The rebellion is spreading to species we have never even heard of. The Council is fighting wars on 40 different fronts now. Elena smiled grimly. Good. When we finally face their main fleet at Earth, they will be tired, stretched thin, and demoralized. There is one more thing, Morrison added. Intelligence suggests that some of the older Council species are starting to have second thoughts about this war. Apparently, watching us fight back has reminded them of their own younger days before they became part of the Council system. Elena felt a spark of an idea. Morrison, send a message to all Council species. Tell them that humanity offers amnesty to any who abandon the Council cause. We are not fighting to destroy them. We are fighting to free everyone from an oppressive system. As the message went out across the galaxy, Elena prepared for the final battle. The Council was coming with everything they had. But humanity would be ready, and they would not be fighting alone. The galaxy was about to discover that humans were very good at making friends and very dangerous as enemies. Elena stood on the bridge of the Terra's Wrath as it dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Around her, the largest fleet in human history materialized from the darkness, 800 ships carrying the hopes of humanity and their alien allies. Captain, Council forces are holding position around Earth, reported Morrison from the sensor station. 1,500 ships in defensive formation. They are using Earth itself as a shield. Elena studied the tactical display with growing anger. The Council had positioned their fleet so that any attack would risk hitting Earth's surface. Billions of humans lived on that world, including children in the work camps the Council had established. Clever, Admiral Torres said grimly from his position at the communications console. They know we will not risk harming our own people. Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the Council flagship, announced Communications Officer Park. Put it through. The main screen flickered to life, showing High Arbiter Zeth-9, the crystal being who had first delivered the Council's ultimatum 7 years ago. His lights pulsed with satisfaction as he spoke. Captain Vasquez, your rebellion ends today. Surrender immediately and we will allow 10% of your species to survive as a lesson to others who might consider defying us. Elena stepped forward, her voice steady despite her rage. The only thing ending today is the Council's reign of terror. We offer you one chance to surrender and face justice for your crimes. The alien's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been laughter. You cannot win, human. Even if you destroy our fleet, we have weapons that can sterilize your entire solar system. We have prepared the stellar extinction device. One command from me and your sun will collapse into a black hole. Elena felt her blood turn cold. A weapon that could destroy entire star systems was beyond anything they had prepared for. However, Zeth9 continued, we prefer to make examples rather than martyrs. Watch as we demonstrate our power. The screen switched to show the Kepler system, the location of humanity's first destroyed colony. Elena watched in horror as a massive council weapon fired a beam at the system's star. The star began to collapse, pulling planets into itself before exploding in a supernova that would be visible from Earth. That was merely a demonstration, Zeth9 said as his image returned. Surrender now or your sun is next. The transmission ended, leaving Elena's bridge in stunned silence. The Council did not just have the power to destroy fleets. They could destroy entire solar systems. Captain, Dr. Chen said quietly from his station, I have been analyzing the energy readings from that weapon. It uses quantum field manipulation to destabilize stellar fusion processes. Can we stop it? Elena asked, possibly. The weapon requires enormous amounts of energy and time to charge. If we could destroy it before it fires, where is it located? Chen studied his sensors. Galactic Central. The same artificial construct where the Council's main government is based. It is over 1,000 light-years away. Elena realized the impossible situation they faced. Even if they won the battle at Earth, the Council could simply retreat and destroy the entire solar system from their central fortress. Captain, I have an idea, Morrison said suddenly. What if we do not try to destroy their weapon? What if we turn it against them instead? Elena looked at him with interest. Explain. Dr. Chen has been studying their technology for years. We have allies among the Keth Mori who understand Council systems. If we could get a small team to Galactic Central while they are focused on the battle here, it would be a suicide mission, Torres pointed out. Galactic Central is the most heavily defended location in the galaxy. Not necessarily, said a new voice from the communication system. Elena turned to see the image of Ayantel, the Keth Mori leader who had become their closest alien ally. Our intelligence networks have been working inside Council space for decades, Ayantel continued. We know ways into Galactic Central that even the Council has forgotten. But you are right. It would be extremely dangerous. Elena made her decision quickly. Morrison, you have command of the fleet. Use everything we learned about Council tactics to keep them busy here. Chen, you are with me. We are going to pay a visit to Council headquarters. The next few hours were a blur of preparation. Elena took the fastest ship in the fleet, the modified scout vessel Defiant Dawn, the same ship she had stolen 7 years ago when this war began. Chen loaded it with every piece of alien technology they could carry, while Ayantel provided detailed maps of Galactic Central's security systems. As they prepared to leave, Torres approached Elena privately. Captain, you know this is probably a one-way trip. Elena nodded. I know. But if we do nothing, billions of humans die when they collapse our sun. At least this way we have a chance. For what it is worth, it has been an honor serving with you. Elena shook his hand firmly. Take care of our people, Marcus. And remember, we are not just fighting for humanity anymore. We are fighting for every species that wants to be free. The journey to Galactic Central took 18 hours using their fastest hyperspace drives. Elena spent the time studying the layout of the massive artificial construct that served as the Council's seat of power. It is incredible, Chen said, analyzing the sensor data. The entire structure is larger than Earth's moon. It houses the governments of 12 different species, plus the archives of hundreds of conquered civilizations. Elena studied the tactical display. Where is the weapon? At the center of the construct. It draws power from a contained black hole that provides energy for the entire facility. Elena felt a chill. They built their capital around a black hole? It appears so. The gravitational field provides both power and protection. Any attacking force would be torn apart long before reaching the central core. Elena smiled grimly. unless that attacking force knew exactly what it was doing. Following Iontel's intelligence, they approached Galactic Central through a debris field filled with the wreckage of ancient battles. The Defiant Dawn stealth systems, enhanced with captured Council technology, made them effectively invisible to the construct's sensors. "Captain, I am picking up massive energy readings from the central core," Chen reported. "They are charging the weapon. The beam will be ready to fire in 6 hours. Elena felt urgency driving her forward. "How long to reach the core?" 3 hours if we take the maintenance tunnels Iontel identified. "But Captain, there is something else. I am detecting life signs throughout the construct. Not just Council species, but captives from hundreds of different worlds." Elena paused. The Council was not just using Galactic Central as a government facility. They were using it as a prison for representatives of every species they had conquered. "Change of plans," Elena said. "We are not just going to stop their weapon. We are going to free every prisoner in this place." The infiltration went better than Elena had dared hope. The Council's security systems were designed to stop large fleets, not small teams using stealth technology they did not recognize. Elena and Chen moved through the maintenance corridors like ghosts, avoiding patrols and disabling security systems. They reached the central core just as the weapon reached 50% charge. Elena looked up at the massive device, a crystalline structure the size of a skyscraper, crackling with energy that could destroy stars. "Chen, can you reverse the field polarity?" "I think so. But Captain, if I do that, the energy discharge will destroy Galactic Central itself. Everyone on this construct will die, including us." Elena thought about the billions of humans on Earth, and the billions of other beings suffering under Council oppression throughout the galaxy. "How many prisoners are on this construct?" Chen checked his scanner. "Approximately 50,000 beings from over 100 species." Elena made her decision. "Start the evacuation. Get every prisoner to the escape pods. I will handle the weapon." For the next 2 hours, Elena and Chen worked frantically. Chen freed prisoners while Elena studied the weapon controls, trying to understand how to turn the Council's ultimate weapon against them. With 1 hour left before the weapon fired, Chen reported that all prisoners had been evacuated. Elena was alone in the central core, surrounded by alien technology she barely understood. "Captain," came Morrison's voice over the communication system. "The battle at Earth is not going well. We need that weapon offline." Elena studied the control systems one final time, then began the shutdown sequence. But as she worked, an idea occurred to her. Instead of destroying the weapon, she could redirect it. Elena began reprogramming the targeting system, using everything she had learned about Council technology over the past 7 years. If this worked, the weapon would not destroy the Earth's sun. It would destroy the black hole at the center of Galactic Central. The explosion would be visible from every inhabited world in the galaxy. With 30 seconds left on the firing sequence, Elena finished her modifications. The weapon would fire as programmed, but instead of targeting Earth, it would target its own power source. Elena activated the ship-wide communication system and broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Terran Liberation Front. For too long, the Galactic Council has oppressed younger species through fear and superior technology. Today we proved that no empire built on tyranny